Everyone in the service industry has a story. Crazy customers, wild orders, and WTF moments. Do you want to start a tab? The podcast here to bring you those tales from behind the bar. My name's Carl, and I'm still fucking up with 13 years of bartending experience.
My name's Riley, and I don't have as much experience at bartending as I do correcting you.
Thank you. So on today's episode, it's going to be a little bit different than normal. We are at the Iowa Podcast Awards filming on Sunday, September 15th at 2 p.m. So we are in a new, it's not a new studio for us. It's just a studio for today, right?
Right.
So this episode will be released at some point. You'll see it. I guess you're listening to it right now, right?
Right.
And I'm just fucking rambling. So what we like to do here on this lovely little podcast is read stories about the hospitality industry. This is going to be a rough fucking episode.
I believe in you.
Thank you. So what we like to do on this lovely little podcast is read stories about the hospitality industry, talk about it, discuss it, dissect it. Should have been handled differently. If there is an asshole, we talk about that asshole. Then we rate the story 1 through 5, 1 being your average story, 5 being a unique situation. And sometimes we like to have guests. And
Yes.
Today we have a guest, Camden. How you doing, bud?
I'm pretty great, man.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your experience in the hospitality industry.
So I've been out of hospitality for 5 years now, but I was in for 8.
Yep.
I started bartending when I was 17. Don't tell the cops.
You did your time.
Yeah.
You did your time.
Basically, the owners of the place that I was serving at needed someone to pour drinks because they were too intoxicated to do so. Needless to say, this place is not in business anymore. But that's where it started, and then I just kept that running since.
Right, because your last bartending job was at Tailgaters?
Tailgaters was the last place.
And that was we really fucked up the what we thought Tailgaters was in our last episode. We were talking about restaurants and all that stuff. Nope, it's just a music venue that
Yeah.
offered
The
drinks.
yellow building, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's the Coralville one. Yes, the yellow one.
I was thinking of the Coralville
Yes,
one.
they are the same owner, all the same, but one of them's kind of Buffalo Wild Wings, and the other one is the one in Cedar Rapids.
Right.
So, yeah.
Kind of Buffalo Wild
So
Wings.
to clarify, not the kind of Buffalo Wild Wings one.
Yes, I was at the Cedar Rapids,
Right.
just a hole in the wall behind the other bar.
The yellow
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then also, since we are adults, we also like to indulge in adult beverages. And today we're drinking a window. It's the window, a window, whatever. It's a cocktail I created for my 2023 cocktail competition. It's a gin drink infused with Asian flavors. And that's all we're going to go with that because it's a big thing. But cheers. Thanks for being on.
I got to reach over equipment.
Yep, I know.
I'm going to stay far away.
Lucas is shitting his pants. Cheers.
We'll be safe, Lucas.
All right, Riley, you're going to kick us off with a story?
Yeah, so I have found 3 stories and then a bonus one. So I'm going to let the audience pick. I have a story about an underage Karen. I have a story about natural consequences. I have a story about how does this person even work here? And then I have a 4th just to piss Carl off. Like, if you want to see Carl lose his shit. Okay.
Why did you leave it? Like, you just should have read that one to begin with.
Well, I wanted to leave it open.
Okay.
So this is from Reddit, and the bartender subreddit specifically. And the username is Spigot Relish. And it was posted 2 months ago.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
It's awful. No. What's going to piss him off is this. Grenadine is standard in an old-fashioned.
Oh my God.
That was the title.
Are there emojis that imply it's satirical? Okay,
It's a rant.
great.
I understand everyone's idea of an old-fashioned is different. I have no problem if you want me to make it some specific way. Just tell me how you want it. But don't condescendingly tell me when I'm wrong, or tell me I'm wrong, and your specific way is the normal way when you want grenadine in it, in all caps.
Can I very briefly interrupt?
That's it.
Oh,
That's the whole story.
fantastic. It's called an old-fashioned.
For a
There's
reason.
a way to do it.
Right.
You can have different versions of an old-fashioned, but like...
Right, then it's not an old-fashioned anymore. It's something else.
Anyway, sorry.
That was the story.
Okay.
Somebody asked for a grenadine in an old-fashioned, and the bartender was pissed
Who
about
hurt
it.
them? Like, what bar hurt them? And
Specifically, who hurt the patron, not the bartender.
right. Like,
The patron hurt the bartender. We know that.
so the bar or the guest said grenadine is normally in
Yeah,
old
the
fashioned.
guest said, everybody puts grenadine in old-fashioned. You're wrong if you don't.
So
basically.
So I'm working. God damn it!
This hurts.
So working at the Hotel Julian on the corner of in Dubuque, in the corner of Wisconsin, Illinois, you get a lot of people from small town bars. Even you don't have to be in Dubuque, but they ask for a specific drink because their small bar makes this certain drink. So they expect that's a common drink everywhere. Everywhere. So there's some shithole bar somewhere in fucking the world that makes grenadine old fashions.
Right.
I'm going to assume it's a riff on a Wisconsin old fashioned.
Yeah.
That is my guess what that is because of cherries and oranges muddled in there. But in what fucking world do you get mad at the bartender for like making you a normal old fashioned and not knowing?
Right.
It hurts my soul so much.
Well,
Like,
because you have plenty of experience with this, with people ordering a Wisconsin old fashioned and then being pissed when they get bourbon.
Yes. It
hurts.
But it's also like, don't get mad when the bartender's educating you about like telling you, here's what the normal drink is. What you're asking for is fine. You just can't get mad at me when I tell you.
Absolutely.
Right.
And like any bartender is going to go, oh, I'm sorry, and immediately remake it to then go to Reddit.
Right.
To be so mad when you get home. Like every bartender in the world is going to be like, oh, shoot, you want that added? Cool. Or they make you a whole fresh one. It's going to happen immediately.
Right.
Right.
And, yeah.
But Camden, what is an old fashioned?
It is bourbon. It is simple syrup. It is aromatic bitters. And if you're feeling frisky, it's orange peel.
Yep.
Yeah, it's whiskey sugar bitters. That's it.
Yep.
Yep. Everything else is a riff on that. And see,
Right.
you worked at dive bars and you even know that.
Well, yeah. I had brief time in cocktail
okay.
work, but then I realized that dive bars pay you better by the end of the night.
That is 100% true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
The much harder work is tipped less. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I hate when customers get mad. I had this one guy one time get mad at me because he ordered a brandy old fashioned, Wisconsin old fashioned, but I didn't garnish it with pickled mushrooms and olives.
What?
So
A sweet. It was a sweet Wisconsin old fashioned.
So he's like,
so Sprite
Yeah,
and brandy.
and so then he goes, "Where's my garnish?" I go, "What do you mean garnish?" He's like, "It's always served with pickled asparagus or pickled mushrooms and olives." And I go, "I've been doing this for 12 years and I've never heard of such a thing." And I go, "What part of Wisconsin do you live in?" And he goes, "How'd you know I live in Wisconsin?" I go, "Only people from Wisconsin would order this shit."
They just immediately open Reddit.
Right.
Start getting their post going.
And so we have a bartender friend. He's from Door County. And I text him like later that night, next day. I go, "Is this a thing?" He's like, "Oh, dude, that is super small, remote areas
Like
of Wisconsin.
one county.
Like, yeah, like one hole in the wall. Like it's not that common." And I'm like, okay, at least I felt better about myself about not knowing this fucking thing. Then I text a bartender friend out in New York, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here." I'm like, dude, Wisconsin, it's all that cheese in their head, man.
Yeah.
But
Well, then it also leads to that thing where like there's two reasons to go into the walk-in. That's crying and also Googling whatever that person just said to you was. Those are the two reasons to go.
Throw
And
shit. You could
that
throw
you
shit,
never
too.
restock. Just yeah. But like one of the most recent ones I had before I retired was somebody came and ordered 7 Black Widows.
what the fuck's a black?
Thank
widow?
you. So I went straight into the cooler and I was Googling Black Widows and spiders, and the new movie came up and just a bunch of stuff like that. And I walked back out and I was like, okay, where did you get this?
Right.
And they listed a place.
Right.
And I was like, great. And then in front of them, I gave up on the walk-in. In front of them, I Googled that place and they had it on their menu. So I was
Right.
able to steal the recipe.
Right.
But it's too common for people to just pick
Yeah.
a drink and bring it with them to anywhere else.
And that's why I say too, people like I know at least 300-400 cocktails in my head for
Just off the
recipes
dome.
that I can just bust out. If it's a cocktail I've never even heard of, I'm like, that's your bar's cocktail that I'm not going to be able to recreate because I don't even have ingredients. I don't know the ratios. They get mad at me. Like, can you at least try? I'm like, you're not going to like
My
it.
favorite
Like,
yeah.
is when Carl deadpan. What's in it? Aren't you supposed to know that? Do you know how many cocktails exist?
I don't know everything, unfortunately.
You're close,
but
though.
I've also seen him do that for a lemon drop because he didn't want to make them.
That's good. That's really
What's
good.
in that? What's in a Long Island? I don't really fucking remember.
Just give
Everything
us a
you
Tron
have
and
on
a
the
sugar
rail.
packet.
Everything you have on just the bar mat. Here you
Oh,
go.
no.
That's a shot. Some bars do that.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
bar mat
Can I
shot.
ask, have you guys ever done that to someone?
No.
I absolutely have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I work at classy places.
Right. When I worked downtown,
Yeah.
A couple times, yeah.
Did they know that's what you did?
God, no.
No. Surprised me. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So on a rating scale, how common, 1 through 5, have you heard stories of something similar to this?
1 being common.
Yes.
That's 1.
1.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah,
1.
that's-
This is
one.
absolutely a 1.
I don't
Happens
think
all
there's
the time.
Yeah.
No matter if you're at a dive bar, high-end bar, there's always some person coming in and just expects it to be one way and not open, or they don't want to hear what the correct way is.
Right.
They don't want to be taught anything.
Right. They just want what they want, and they don't know how to communicate it effectively
Right. I don't know anything
without
about
being a dick. So the patron was a dick.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Camden, you got a story for us?
Oh, God. Okay. So we can dive into many topics off of this, but the start's kind of overserving.
Okay.
And we live in Iowa, and most places, they stop serving you when you become a problem, not beforehand.
Yes.
In my experience, like they wait until the cops should be called, and then they're like, now you can't have alcohol.
Right.
But when I worked downtown, there was a busy Friday, and I was in the heart of downtown. I was at Red's before it died.
Yep.
And everything good happened at Red's.
Absolutely.
Only good stuff.
Only good things.
Thank you. This brand new bride and groom and the parents, father and mother of the groom, came in after the wedding.
So already,
Here's like the parents seemed tipsy, wife seemed tipsy, guy seemed fine. That's why it was scary. He comes up and he orders, I think, 4 lemon drops for the party, and I go, okay, cool. And I pour him, take his card, swipe his card. He distributes the drinks, and then I hand him back his card and the receipt, and he says, "What's this for?" And I was like, "Oh, you gave me your card to pay for the drinks you just got." And he was like, "I didn't get drinks." And at this point, I realized that he's looking directly through me. He is so coherently speaking, but he is not home.
Right.
Like, yeah. And as I started trying to convince him that he had in fact paid me for the drinks his family was now drinking,
Right.
he started screaming at
Oh
me.
my God.
Like slurs, some that apply, some that don't. He just went down the codex of every mean word he knew, and halfway through it, I had a co-bartender to the side of me, who as he argued, got mad at him. Like it shifted, and he started yelling at that guy. So I took my moment of opportunity to go to the bouncer and get the bouncer and say, "Hey, this guy really wants to go home." Bouncer comes up. The next topic could be maybe bouncer over aggression.
Right.
But he does the bouncer hand
Yeah.
that we've all seen, where just hand on the shoulder.
Oh, I have personal experience.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. But
Recent.
the guy keeps going unfazed, and the bouncer in his ear, I can hear it over the crowd, goes, "I will start counting down from 10," and begins counting down from 10. When he reaches 1, the mean words never stopped at this
Right.
point. When he reaches 1, I stay awake at night thinking about the noise the guy made. He locked him up in a headlock so fast and so tight that he just went, like he absolutely squeaked and went out in the same instant. He was so drunk. Like,
Right.
I don't know if you've ever had the experience of knocking out a drunk person. It takes 0 seconds. They just go down. But he completely passed out immediately. So then he was like, "Oh shit," and like hooked his arms instead of holding his neck.
Right.
And he walked him outside to the pay meters, downtown Cedar Rapids. We
Yeah.
all saw him. And just laid him there. At this point, the wife realized what was going on because she saw like the tail end of him leaving the door.
Right.
So she starts freaking out and screaming at everybody, to the point where 2 more bouncers come over, and in the scuffle, they end up with like ankle, wrist. So they're like carrying her out like a hammock.
Oh my God. Especially if she's in a wedding dress, that's even
Yes.
more
Yeah.
hammocky than that, you know?
Mind you, they're dressed for a wedding. I should have emphasized that more.
they're dressed for their wedding.
Their wedding. The parents had been in a different room hanging out. They come in and say, "Where'd they go?" And I was like, "Oh, they just got bounced." And the dad's response is something I will also never forget, which is, "Again?" Which was the end of this fiasco.
Right.
But I guess like the discussion topic there is just like overserving is a pretty common thing. And also when you receive an overserved person,
Right.
like,
That was my natural consequences story, so I'm glad I didn't read that one.
Shit, I'm in, yeah.
It's funny. It is sometimes hard to tell how drunk someone is because some people are really good at hiding or masking, whatever you want to call it, like how drunk they truly are.
Yeah.
And then they do something as little as that, right? They like, why am I paying for this? And
Yeah.
then you like step back and like look at them like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Because especially at Reds, you're always in the weeds. There's no not.
Yes.
There's no not in the
You are
weeds. at
only
Reds.
sweating and crying while
Right.
you're working. Yeah, this is the only option. And yeah, I just like didn't clock it fast enough. We were already into the transaction by the time I was like, oh no, like this guy's waxed.
I mean, I guess I don't have too much experience like in those scenarios. I mean, at the Royal Lounge, we do have some people that get totally shit faced, and I'm just like, dude, it's time to go up to your room because
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
hotel. All you got to do is take the fucking elevator up, you know. And our bouncer, whose sister is in the room, he would do an okay job getting people out there, you know. And
Brett
he
is
was
a
really
very,
good.
very good bouncer in that, like, his first response is never aggression. It's always like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the approach should always be like hands in pockets. Like, do you want to talk first or?
right.
Yeah.
It's very therapeutic.
Right. But it's funny though, you said multiple bouncers. Reds was a very small bar.
It-
so
yeah.
to have multiple bouncers just,
And it was a party bar, so your bouncers need to be
Yeah.
bouncers.
I think our official capacity was in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
It is not a big place. Like
Right.
shoulder to shoulder is 60 to 70.
I mean,
Right.
the reason I made that bar popular is because you guys served fucking hot food till like 1 a.m.
Forever.
That
It was great.
didn't hurt.
That
It
was
didn't
that
hurt.
was like I mean, multiple occasions I'd be there like just because I could get a hamburger and fries for whatever $10-12 and be happy. But yeah, I don't know. Like I would have loved to see that, especially with the bride being like dragged out or like
Yeah.
not dragged out, but carried
Carried.
Carried is
by
accurate.
2 people, you know. But then like the dad saying again.
Again.
Like, fuck,
Yeah.
like so that means you've seen your son that drunk this many times.
Yep.
Assuming it was
Not earlier.
the groom's parents, not the bride's parents.
Oh, it was the groom's parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was either a regular occurrence in their life or this was not the first time that day.
Yeah.
Right.
Which makes it extra fun to think about.
Right.
If they had just gotten bounced in similar fashion.
Right.
I don't know. It's just crazy to I can't say that because I've fucking been in situations like myself where I think I'm sober enough to handle situations and then I just let things fly off the handle super easily. But
Our wedding night.
I wasn't drunk like that.
But you were just drunk enough to want to pick a fight with an Uber driver.
Hey, that's a story that we told on this podcast many times. So if you want to go here, go listen to the first 71 episodes. It's somewhere.
Every
somewhere
episode?
in there. What's that?
You talked about it in every of the first
No,
71.
No,
Okay.
it's- in
it's
one of
somewhere
them.
in
Gotcha.
the first
Okay,
71
okay.
episodes.
The
But-
TLDR version is the Uber driver didn't tell him how to put the back seat down to get into the third row of the Honda whatever. And so he climbed over and then the Uber driver yelled at him for it and started calling him all kinds of mean names.
Gotcha.
And then kicked us out of the car and we had to walk home.
I thought it was going to be worse.
No. Yeah, that's
Well, see, the things that come out of Carl's mouth when he
Well,
gets mad, it makes
I
it
am the
worse.
Rolodex of every fucking
Yeah,
name
yeah.
I can fucking think of. And, you know, but I was like, I almost got arrested on my wedding night. How amazing is that? And then what's even crazier is 2 weeks later, we're at a different bar and we call an Uber to go home.
It was the same
and then
guy.
she could tell it's
Oh,
the same
no.
car coming to pick us up. She goes, sit in the fucking back. And don't
Shut
say
the fuck up.
anything. And I'm just stewing in the back seat. She's talking this guy's ear off. You
Because
know?
if I don't stop talking, he doesn't have room to talk
But I did not get arrested that night.
either.
Yeah, that's good.
But all right, so man, you don't see a lot of this. Like usually the bride and groom want to go back to the hotel room and consummate the marriage, not to pass out and get thrown out on their marriage.
You'd
you know?
think. And like, there's no way you're not getting arrested because you're sleeping against a parking meter.
Right.
That's an additional thing.
Because usually there is a cop in that alleyway
Yeah.
waiting
Right,
for
they
drunks
were- they
to
were
be
just
thrown.
waiting.
They're waiting, you know.
I didn't catch it, but the bouncer may as well have just like waved one over. It's been
Right.
this guy.
Right.
Yes, because especially when the field house used to be down by the Irish bar, there's cops just parked right out there waiting for all 400 people to come out and
Yeah.
pick someone out of the crowd. But all right, on a rating 1 to 5,
Listen, this story was going to be a 2.
Okay.
It was.
it was.
Until the dad said again.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to say 4.
Really, just that one word.
Because all of the cumulative factors that go into it.
Right.
Because, like, Well, it probably would have been a 3 because the bride got carried out. But like, then you add again. I'm assuming it was that night.
I was left to
in my
assume
head,
that as
that's
well.
headcanon.
Yeah.
But I wonder what bar they would have got kicked out earlier then from.
Any of the ones downtown.
That's true.
Liquid Lounge was still open.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Ugh.
Also, imagine going from your wedding to Liquid Lounge.
Yeah,
like
right.
that's the lineup of your evening.
That checks out. So I'm sticking with 4.
Yeah, I was gonna do 3-6.
Yeah.
Just because again, how they carried the bride out, not dragged her again. Like I could just assume like I'm just seeing drunk people being stacked on top of each other by the fucking parking meters. Like, all right, just line them on up. Get the paddy wagon for this wedding.
There were a couple shows there that ended up like that.
Yeah, I bet absolutely. What do you rate your own story?
3. I think it's a middling 3. It's the extra context of the wedding and everything that makes it more unique. But
Right.
like, it was just kind of downtown stuff. I've just never had it done to a guy in a tux and a lady in a wedding dress. That really spiked it for
Again.
me. So yeah, again.
Cool, awesome. Well, we do have a little bit more time. We actually flying through this. It's a little bit more relaxed. We're inside our basement,
Right.
And we're just pounding, and not people staring at us doing this. But whatever. Do you have another story for us?
Oh god, let me ponder for a little bit. I've been working on a second one that's like a full backup.
Sweet. Do you have another story, babe?
I do.
All right.
So of the 3 that I mentioned before, we're going to take out natural consequences because we already kind of did something similar.
So sorry.
So do we want... No. I'll save it for another day. Do we want underage Karen or how do you work here?
How do you work here?
Love it. It's from the Bartender subreddit also. The username is Tinny's Turtles. It's from 13 days ago. The title is Server Could Not Figure Out How to Open a Twist-Off Bottle of Wine.
Yes.
She orders a bottle of Kendall Jackson and asks for my wine key, even though she's supposed to have one. I said, "You don't need one. It's a twist off." She said, "Okay, well, how do I open it?" I said, "You twist the cap off." She said, "Well, I need a wine key, though, to cut through the foil." I said, "There is no foil. You just twist off the cap and it opens." I go back to making tickets and she's disappeared. Her bottle of wine's still sitting on the bar. She returns with a wine key and proceeds to try unsuccessfully to take the metal off the bottle with it. I don't want her to hurt herself, so I stop her and tell her for the 3rd time that she just needs to unscrew the cap. She is insistent that it won't come off. And I think, okay, the cap must be messed up. And if she's having this much difficulty, I grabbed the bottle and took the cap off with absolutely no issue. I had to go for a walk after that.
I would have too. I would have left for a cigarette because I smoked then. I would have been out.
This would have been that bartender's last night bartending. Like, you know what? It's just not going to work out.
That server or that bartender?
The one who couldn't get the cap.
The server, yeah.
The server. But also, I will say this. There are like, what bottles? Is it Contro? There's some liquor bottles where the whole foil spins.
Yes.
And then you actually have to sit there and try to like vice grip it off, which is a pain in the ass. So, and that's what they were trying to say at the end. Like sometimes it is just spinning and you need help doing
But not
it.
on a bottle of Kendall Jackson wine.
No, absolutely not.
It's very
Just-
clearly a twist off cap.
Right. Like, did you not even try it? But I love, there's been times though you take like import beer bottles and you try to twist off and you're like, why the fuck is this now? Oh, fuck me. Like, it's the opposite. You're trying to twist off and it's not. Or doing it on a Bud Light bottle. Have you ever like tried to like twist off Bud Light and somebody just doesn't twist off?
No, not particularly.
No? Okay, well, you're strong. But, I mean, you are a lead singer of a fucking death metal band.
Which
or a
immediately
hardcore
leads to
band.
strength.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, there is sometimes just incompetence, right?
Yeah, incompetence is real with this one.
Right. And like,
But like, how do you work here?
Right.
If you can't understand it's a twist off.
If you were to walk up to the bottle and look at it and then try to open it normally and it doesn't work, and then you ask, as soon as somebody says twist off, it should be over.
right.
That like if you were to see it and be like, I'm not sure, that makes sense. That's not incompetence. Like, but yeah, as soon as you're word for word informed.
Right. 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's fucking weird. Rating on this, rating on this one. I mean, it happens all the time. People just don't listen and don't want to do what they're told.
Yeah, like
Or suggested to do.
I work with adults with disabilities, and the number of times I have to tell people how to do things that they should know how to do is absurd.
Your coworkers.
Yes. Like one of our interview questions is, do you know how to make a pot roast? Like, and some people don't know how to make a pot roast or Google it.
Right.
It's kind
So
of in the name.
I'm going to say this is like a 2
Yeah.
All right.
because
Just-
I've seen that many incompetent people.
just listening to simple directions is it's hard.
It's
and that's
real hard,
scary.
apparently.
Like this is the future of our nation. Like just common sense. I tell people common sense is now a quality that you put on your resume, like a skill. I have common sense. Like it is out the fucking window anymore.
I can solve a problem.
I will agree. It's 2 because it happens all the time. Like even like in the bartending, like making drinks and telling people this is how to make this drink. They just get told over and over again how to do simple drinks. It's like, this is not that hard, man. Like it's easy to make a daiquiri. It's not that hard. It's 3 ingredients.
Yep.
It's the same as a fucking margarita. Just
And a whiskey sour.
made whiskey sour.
To be fair, mind you, to preface, I've been hit in the head a lot. But I also have drinks that will never sink into my brain.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of the ones that I always have to Google that are like, so like anytime somebody says sea breeze, I'm like, I know that's maybe 3 ingredients.
Right.
But like though for some reason there's just a small list that will never sink in.
I have a like a mental block for tiki drinks.
Yeah.
Like I just can never remember them.
Mine are or like salty dogs or like those weird gin juice drinks for some reason just don't sit. I can see myself doing this exact thing until the twist off thing. So I'm going to say it's a 2.
Right.
I think
Right.
that's my rating.
Like you're going to try to open up, not figure it out, and then you ask them.
yeah, and then I'm going to yell, help, from like far away. And then, yeah, someone will yell twist
just
off
take
and
it
it'll be fine. Yeah.
Just take it to the table. Can you open this?
Yeah. That would be a good bit. Do you have a bottle opener?
It's only a good bit if you're pretending to be a sommelier.
That's true.
You sold them on this wine. You took 20 minutes to sell them on this like $400 bottle of wine. Then you just take it to them with the wine key. You guys open it yourself. I don't know how to.
Bring up canned Busch Light. Look at the legs on this thing.
The tenants. This is Sonoma County beer. Did you think of something else?
Yes. It's kind of in the same topic of that, but there was a new hire at... I'm going to stick to Reds because that's a closed place, and this is where this happened. I wanted to knock out tailgaters because they still exist.
Right.
But at Reds, we had a lot of, as any bartending place, a lot of rotating employees.
Yep.
I think the most egregious offense that's kind of similar to that was somebody that exclusively cut fruit with their hand underneath it.
Oh.
And we didn't notice it until we went into the fruit container, those strange little semicircle dishes, and there was red in the bottom of them
Oh my God.
because I think they were drunk on arrival and had kind of sliced themselves
Right.
and
That's
didn't
a
notice
great-
and then continued setting limes. And I don't know when in the service that happened.
So you could have been handing out limes.
I could fully.
Like-
Well, also, to make this more fun, I'm red-green colorblind.
Oh no.
So I'm looking at a green thing of limes with red underneath it that does not look different to me.
Right.
And I'm like, how many gin and tonics did I just poison people with? Like,
You're the problem.
I am the problem.
God.
Yeah.
Side note, Drunk on Arrival is a great band name.
It is actually, yeah. Or just a really bad 80s movie that you have to see.
Right. Cult classic right there.
That there are times when it does suck. You don't even realize you cut yourself, and then like all of a sudden you see like red dots. Well, you don't see red dots, but you see like red dots. You're like, when the fuck did this happen?
Yep.
And I need to start backtracking really, really fast.
I have a personal story, but continue.
Okay.
That just reminded me of one about me.
But no, like how, like you said, they were probably fucked up. Had to be more than just drunk on some sort of other
I'd
drug.
imagine.
That like,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
you know. So how long did that person last there?
I think that was like a weeker.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So like 3 shifts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard specifically anything like that before, where it's in the food tray,
Fruit tray?
and it goes on. But
I mean, cutting cutting boards exist for a reason.
We had like 7 of them. It wasn't just one. Like, we had a drawer for them.
God, but how many? I don't know. So, what's your personal story?
This was at Tailgaters, and I'm just making fun of myself on this one, so I can talk about it. But we all have seen the pour spouts, like not the counted pour spouts, but just the spouts. Yeah. One of them was apparently exceptionally sharp at one point, and I was by myself at Tailgaters, as I usually was. Big room, a lot of people. I had grazed myself on one of them and continued bartending, and then I looked down a couple minutes later and saw that I was bleeding a lot.
Right.
And then I was like, how the hell did this happen? Then I looked over and saw that in the pour spout, this is gross, some of my skin was in the pour spout of it, and I just really thought about if I had used that bottle since that happened. Thankfully, it was like an apricot liqueur or something that I would never touch in my life, especially at Tailgaters. But yeah, just thinking of accidental. Oh, I did open myself up accidentally.
That's the Camden special right there.
It is, yeah.
Oh my god!
You turn colorblind if you drink it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
It's like Spider-Man, but
but it sucks.
It sucks, right? It's like the
it's Spider-Man, but it's just a downgrade.
Right. You just lose color. So you can't see color anymore. I don't think I've ever done something like that. No, that's a lie. I remember there was one time at the Road Lounge, we're busy as fuck. This guy has wine right in front of my well, and he knocks a wine glass over, cuts or breaks, and then cuts my hand. Then the glass lands in the fucking ice well.
No.
And so I'm like,
and then Carl yells, "Brett!"
Yep, I did. I go, "Brett," and I just point down. And he goes, "Oh." Because he knows
because that was the third time that night too.
Yeah,
time to burn the ice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has to go over, get a bunch of hot water, burn the ice, and then I gotta fucking wrap myself up. We're busy as fuck. So now we're down to one well. It's like, oh my god, because it was a full ice bin too, so it takes like 10, 15 minutes, and you gotta clean it out. Just like, what the fuck?
That phrase "burn the ice" is a night ruiner every time you hear it. It's so sad.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why it's like sucks having glass at a bar because of that one reason alone is ice in a bin, and but I don't know.
Or when they're used as mallets.
What?
Beer bottles?
Oh.
That's the main reason most of the places I worked banned them.
Yeah. No. See, it's always interesting to hear little things like that I would never see or think of because I work at classy establishments.
Right. Yeah. There were a couple shorter lived gigs that I had where I just filled in for like a month at a place.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't fun or cool or safe. It's none of those.
Think about the people that work, the bartenders at Playtime.
No, I don't want to.
If you don't know what Playtime is, come to Cedar Rapids, Google it. It is probably the diviest dive bar in Cedar Rapids I'm aware of.
Stop in at like 3 when it's empty and it's still sad. This is being posted. I'm sorry.
But at the same time, Playtime is probably the best value for your dollar in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, I think they pour you 20 ounces of Captain Morgan for a Captain and Coke for $4.
For $4.
$4, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so
if you want to forget your next week in one drink,
right. It's
Go
the
to Playtime.
Best to take out a Tinder date too.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Disagree.
Well, you know. But all right, we got 7 minutes. We're just going to cut this short. I don't keep rambling on for everyone. So unless you have something else.
I mean, no, we're good.
What?
We can hit the underage
Karen.
Oh, underage Karen. Okay.
Hold my drink, or lack thereof. I gotta open it back up. The story's a little bit longer.
Okay.
It's also from the Bartender subreddit. Sketchy Cat 716 posted 3 months ago. I'm really just like winning with these usernames.
They're
today.
good. They're good today.
Underage Karen wants to speak to my manager.
Yes.
Also a rant. This little bitch. Great start. She had her mom order a drink at the bar for her, and then when I went to the table to check her ID because she was clearly underage, she hands me one of the worst fakes I've ever seen. I used the light on it just to be sure, and yep, it was fake as hell. When I told her I couldn't serve her because she gave me a fake, she argued with me and then she asked to speak to my manager. I told her if there was a dispute, I could call the police and they could verify the ID. Then her mom told me to give it back to her, and I said absolutely not. The girl was like, "It's my property. It has my photo and my real address. You have to give it back." When I told her I was legally allowed to keep it, she asked, "Since when? Since when is that the law?" I said, "It's a part of our state's dram shop laws." This really pissed them off, and Mom said I was being ridiculous. These two Karens really thought they could bully me. I told them to leave, and the mother Karen threw her hands in the air all dramatically, and they went on to say some bullshit I didn't bother to listen to. But the very best part was that they ordered a burger, and I kicked them out before it came, so I ate it.
Hell yeah. That rips. That's great.
That's like the reward.
It's like a reward.
Right.
Small update, more information. It turns out this girl basically was the worst person on earth. I was talking to another local bartender about it, and I showed him the ID, and he told me this girl got suspended from school because she wrote the N-word on her stomach and took photos of it. We are a pretty small community, and word got out that I took her fake, and people her age kept congratulating and thanking me because she's so heavily disliked. LOL.
What a pariah.
I went to turn in the ID, but I accidentally went to the courthouse instead. Thanks, Google. I haven't had time to go to get to the actual police station, but I plan on doing it today or tomorrow. The top comment is, revenge is best served as a free burger. And I love my burgers with a side of comeuppance.
I mean, obviously, she's the most disliked person if her mom is encouraging this behavior.
I can't say I condone their actions, but I will say the mom is absolutely right or die.
Yeah.
Right.
I will give her that. That's good.
She's got her daughter's back for sure,
Yeah.
no matter what fucking path she's going down. But like, it goes back to, I'll just call the cops. They can tell you what the laws are.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if we're questioning what the law is, let's just call the police, who usually enforce the law correctly.
In theory.
I quotes, heavy quotes, but yeah, I don't know. I've never actually had anyone give me a fake ID before
That you're aware of.
that I'm aware of.
Classy joints. Sorry.
Yeah, classy joints.
Classy joints.
If someone comes up and starts talking about dry martinis and this and that, I'm like, well, fuck. If you're 19, you could talk about this. Good for you. Like, give me your fake. I'll fucking serve you.
This kid spent at least 4 hours on Google before he got here just to do this.
Right.
And if they're underage and not familiar with drinking, they're going to hate this anyway, so it'd be natural
Yes.
karma.
Yeah. Just recommend exclusively very bitter drinks and see
Right.
what happens. Like,
Yeah.
Here's a Manhattan for you.
Yep.
Here's a Negroni.
Negronis.
Oh.
Yes.
They'll still get me sometimes, depending on who makes them.
It's delish.
I mean,
so
they're good.
how many underages do you think you possibly might have served?
Have served? Probably too many.
Yeah.
I don't want to say a number, but probably too many.
Is it because they have really good fake IDs, or you just didn't bother checking?
Well, a lot of the places that I worked where I think it would be most possible had door ID checks
Yeah.
and didn't do like wrist marks so like that's assuming that the bouncer got every single person through the doors.
Yeah.
And then you've been ID'd at some point by a bouncer who just flashlights the ID and goes, yep. Like, so probably a lot.
Yeah.
That was a visual gag for anybody listening to the audio. I was trying to flashlight very quickly on an ID. But it had to have been a ton. And like, especially when I was working at the really busy joints, like as soon as I serve them, they're lost in a sea and I've forgotten who they are.
Right.
Which is why you need the door people to check, because I'm not going to remember a face.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple stories we read on this podcast about door guy missed the ID, and then it's like in New York, and then the bartender serves them, and then it's actually police doing a sting on them, saying that you served an underage. But it's like, what the fuck's the point of the door guy if they're not the ones getting in trouble? I know they're not the ones serving, but that, so like, I don't know. It's weird how that shit works, but I have not seen a fake ID that I'm aware of that I, because I mean, I don't really hardcore look at them, but it's also like, if I could see some hologram in there.
Yeah.
What?
You want to tell the story about your daughter?
Ugh.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So, super long story short, I'm out with some people, and I go to this. They wanted to go dancing in Dubuque. I go to the one bar. It's called Mason Dixon. It's fucking bullshit. Yes.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we're downstairs, and I know the bartenders, and I go up to them, and I ask them for a bunch of shots. I see my 18-year-old daughter.
19. She was 19.
19-year-old daughter across the bar. And I go to the bartender, and I know this bartender. I go, hey, just so you know, you're serving my 19-year-old daughter. And she goes, who's that? And I point to her. She goes, oh, Sydney? I go, oh, you know her name? No. You know her name? She goes, oh, yeah, she always gets this. I go, oh, what the fuck? And so, anyways, some other bullshit happened. My son calls me because he got fucking arrested for weed, like within the same hour of all this happening.
Just get it all done at once.
Drunk.
Just get it all done at once.
And so then I'm going outside because now I got to go deal with him. And I go to the bouncer, the door guy. I go, hey, just so you know, there's at least 3 18, 19-year-olds downstairs drinking. He goes, I can't catch them all. I go, you have one fucking job. That is your job, to catch them. And so, right, you didn't catch any of them. And so then I text her mom, and their mom goes into her car the next day to get her ID. She goes, actually, this is a really good fake ID. She goes, the only thing different is the address is someplace in East Dubuque, and it's her same birthday, just rolled back a couple years.
Gotcha.
And she goes, she probably paid like $200-300 for this fake ID to make it look legit. But I was just like, oh, that night, I was so pissed.
It was a rough night.
And you're at work, so
Yep.
you can't like, oh yeah. I remember I called you while I'm walking home.
Yeah.
Just bitching to her about the entire night. But yeah. Don't have kids. Keep it in your pants.
There was a really good running bit that we did downtown a lot because fakes were constant, where whenever you were questionable on one, you would always say, if it's real, I wouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
And there's two things that'll happen. It'll rip and you'll look really cool.
Right.
Or it won't rip and you'll look dumb as hell.
Right.
So it's 50-50 shot. But they were like problematic, the number of fake IDs. And some of them, it's always best when it's just a completely other person's ID. Like when you get somebody that is not of the same race.
Right.
Priceless. Priceless on that one. Like they hand it to you with their thumb over the picture and then you're like, can you scoot that, please?
Right.
Like, always good.
Yeah, that's funny.
We had a running joke with my sister that she could never use my fake ID. I'm 6 foot tall. She's 5'4".
Yeah.
But like people would tell her in college, like, oh, just take your sister's ID because we look very similar until you stand us next to each
Right.
other.
Yeah. That would change it.
She's the mini me of you.
6 foot, and then her being her. As soon as you saw a sexy, you'd be done.
Yeah.
Awesome. But well, thank you, Camden, for being on here.
Yeah,
We
of course. Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Had fun. And just don't be a dick. Tip your bartenders and drink responsibly.